Okay, welcome to the April 28th meeting of the Dallas After Effects User Group. Tonight we're going to kind of go over some stuff that we looked at last time. I feel like I botched it a little bit last time and wasn't happy with how that went. So we're going to kind of, instead of trying to piece together a bunch of things that I'd already done, we're going to kind of build almost from scratch this time. Some camera tracking, some masking, some pre-comping, and eventually we'll get to the smoldering rim of a crater. I was hoping that Jeremy would be here so he could see this, but he is not so. What we'll do first is cover this stuff with kind of these nodes and that we can see here from MIR. That's what is creating these. Another way you can get this is with Plexus, which is like you described it as like a particle generator inside After Effects that can create particles and then hook them all together with certain parameters.
Yeah, they connect when you set the proximity.
Yeah. So it's really advanced, really a lot of cool functionality in Plexus, but it's also very expensive. And maybe you don't need it for a bunch of stuff. Maybe you just want to do something small and create something without spending a lot of money. So we're going to kind of walk through how to do some of that. When I say nodes, you say awesome. When I say after, you say effects. After. Oh, and the enthusiasm melts my heart. So this thing right here, we're gonna go back to the start on this one and just reset MIR here. Make sure that I'm at a 1280 by 720, and I have just dropped in a solid here. I'm going to call this solid wires, and I've applied, I'll even go here and do it again, Trapcode MIR. So we were talking about Trapcode a little while ago. Trapcode has a suite of or individually purchased plugins. MIR is the one we're looking at today. If you have messed with form or know form and the kind of fractal ability to have particles out in space and move them around, this is kind of Trapcode's new-ish kind of version of that. This MIR does essentially polygon mesh. Okay, we'll see some more of this. On the just kind of basics here of MIR, what we'll do is increase the size of this thing on the X and the Y, and you can see that we have vertex control. We can go down to just a few vertices like that. In the fractal here, we can evolve fractal so you get interesting looks. We can wrap it on itself like that, so we can even make a fractal tube. So, and there's some reasonable upgrades to MIR in MIR 2. Hi, Morris. But I do not have MIR 2 yet. I've been approved to get MIR 2. I just don't have it yet. So I'll look forward to sharing some more interesting stuff with you once we get MIR 2. Okay, so we kind of see a little bit about what's going on here. You have a fractal that you can do some crazy stuff with. We can even make this a Phong rendering, and we can add a light. Let's see if we can make our light do something. This thing. There we go. So the light can affect what's inside MIR, and even if you put a camera in, the camera can move around in 3D space on this guy. So a lot of exciting things we can do here. And then we can also see it as a flat image. I'll just set it to normal here. Let's put our camera and light back in there. Set this to flat. You can see what it does. The low poly look that everybody's using lately. It's fun. And you can add materials to your layer. You can even put effects on here before you apply MIR. And you know what though? What I would probably do is change the settings in here if I were going to do a different color. I'll just change the solid settings. And now that that's blue, I can come here and either pick a color here, or I can tell it the material would be this, its own self, since it's blue. But anyway, you kind of see some of the things that MIR can do. It's a lot more than what I'm showing you, but this is what we got so far. Okay, to the wires and nodes. There's also a setting down here. Instead of fill, we can go to wireframe. With our wireframe, we can see, and well, come down here, instead of texture, just do light like that. So you can see that we have a wireframe now. And we have kind of 3D space we can use. We can even adjust, again, the amplitude and the frequency of this thing. Get some interesting looks there. Decrease the number of vertices, and then we're ready to maybe do something with this. Let's do the amplitude a little bit more like that, and go like 5 and 5. All right. So a cool feature that After Effects introduced recently was the ability to copy with property links. So whatever is going on in this guy, with effects, with transform properties, any of that stuff, we can go here and copy with property links like that, and then paste. So not only do we have an exact duplicate of that, but the duplicate has references to everything in this, right? So this is wires. I'll just change this to nodes like that. And all I need to do really is come in here and turn off or change by changing the expression. So down here we see wireframe. If I try to pick points, it won't do anything because it's set to read with the expression. It's set to read what the wires effect is doing. So I'll just hold my Option key and click wireframes. Now we have points. We have a line size that is also reading down at a point size. So let's do the point size, turn it off, and scale it up like that. So now we have wires and nodes, all right? Not only that, but if we change anything here, the nodes follow because they are linked up, okay? Yes? We can even change number of nodes. Interesting features to do the steps. You can have steps in there so that several different pieces together. And we can put our camera in here. I'll look around this guy. Okay, any questions right now? Nope.
So why did you separate the nodes? Because could you just add those on top of or the same instance of MIR?
In MIR 2.0, that is possible. In the first version of MIR, it is not possible to have wires and nodes. You can have wires or nodes or flat. But we can also, because we have the copy already made, I can paste here, call this polys, that, and down here.
So it's basically like parenting, but
yeah, it's
single value possible.
Correct.
But at least the ones that we choose.
Yeah.
But if you're creating a multi-pass, effectively.
Yes, I'm doing a multipass inside After Effects of just that instance of MIR. So now we have the polygons. We can go back here to the wires guy. Okay, so interesting stuff.
You used it on a project?
Have I used MIR? Have I used MIR on a project? Have I used MIR on a project? I have. I can maybe show you what I used it on. These are a bunch of different ways to do polys. This is MIR.
It's got a loop checkbox in it.
Does it have a loop checkbox?
Or did you have to?
We actually did a looping fractal composition, and they use that for the amplitude, or for the amplitude, I think. There's also another one of these that I used here for. Can't think of what it's called right offhand. Yes, okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff here, and would it be more beneficial for you to see how to create a looping fractal animation, or see more ways to create lines and nodes. You get to vote. You decide. Choose your adventure.
Isn't it practically
Not the way I do it.
Let's see.
Okay.
You do it with expression, though.
Yeah, I use expressions. All right, here we go. Looping a fractal texture. What we're going to do is create a comp, and then we're going to create a solid to sit in there. Actually, I just want to make it the comp size. That. I'm going to add a fractal texture under noise. It's fractal noise, like this. And we're going to duplicate, turn that guy off, call this fractal offset. And as the name describes, we're going to go under distort and put an offset on there. Set that X parameter to 0. Okay, so that takes the edges of the screen and just scrolls them around on themselves. They join up in the center. Okay, so you know the old TV show where they would have a background, a car, somebody's cranking the background so it looks like the car's going somewhere. That's basically what offset is. Okay, offset is the canvas that you would crank. So if I do that, you can see that the canvas just goes infinitely side to side. And I say infinitely, but After Effects does have numeric limitations on how far it can go. Okay, so now we have offset our fractal, and we also have the same fractal on top of itself, and we're going to just mask this guy. This is basically a Band-Aid I'm putting over top of the fractal. And let's see if somebody's coming to the door. This is Trent. All right, somebody's coming to get you. Jeremy is here. All right, so I have a mask that is basically covering up that, it's basically a Band-Aid on there. Okay, so here's the first hang up, the first gotcha, and that is because I used a blue solid to do this. I have blue edges on my feathered mask. Okay, that's just what happens when you feather a layer with fractal on it. So I can do two things. I can change the color of the solid.
Hey, I'm sorry I got messed up on time.
Hey, don't worry about it, dude. Just have a seat. We're moving forward. You just have a seat. Good. We're glad you're here. So instead of changing the color of the layer, I'm just going to add a fill up here on the above the fractal texture, and just kind of drop in a gray there like that. Okay. And then, so this is going to be fractal Band-Aid, patent pending, and I'm going to duplicate this. This already has the offset on it, so I'll duplicate this layer and just call it offset. Put it on top, and it's going to be an adjustment layer. So adjustment layers, you put them above something you want to adjust, and when you turn on adjustment layer, it adjusts down, applies whatever effects it has on it down through the layer stack. I'll take off that fractal noise, and you can see that I'm applying the offset effect to everything down below. Now, when I scroll the offset, you can see that there's no line on the screen. We can go infinitely, and there's no seam. Okay. Then we're going to add an expression. So we're at 20 seconds here. That's not exactly long enough to get a good slow loop. You can catch up on the video online. I'm sorry, we're moving forward. Okay. So we're going to do my expression that I like to use. Is going to be width, which is the width of the layer, divided by the comp duration, this comp duration. If you can't read it, I'm going to zoom in a sec. And I'm just going to apply this to a variable t that I'm going to use back here in a sec. Okay. Now I'm going to come back here, build my array that's going to feed back into my x and y. So I'll say t, and then I don't need to add anything to the y. So I'll do 0, and then I'll add this to the value. Okay. So breaking this down a little bit, oh man, that guy went away. Do this. All right. So this is our expression. We have a variable, and the idea behind this part of the expression is I'm going to have units here and a duration of time that I want to either rotate or move or whatever for these units. So if the unit is 10 and the duration is 5, it would do a duration of 10 units over 5 seconds. Okay. And the way to make that actually build is by multiplying it times time. So then I bring the t down here into my array for x and y, and then I add it to value. And the value is just whatever numbers inherently live in that box there inherently. The numbers that I have put in there, at least. Okay. If I hit RAM preview, see that this guy goes forward like that, and over 20 seconds, it will loop. So I'll just show you the end frame and the beginning frame. Okay. If I play through that, you can see that it's nice and smooth because I'm letting After Effects do the math for me. Okay. Then if I change the length of my comp, it'll update the expression to do the same thing, but over the new length of the comp. Okay. So now I have that looping fractal. I'm also going to do the same thing, so I can come in here and copy that guy to my fractal texture. I'm going to do that in evolution. I'm going to cycle the evolution 2 times. And I'm going to add my expression here. And then I will do something that if you don't know it yet, you need to mess around with it. It's called modulus. And modulus is basically, it's a remainder. I don't know exactly how more to describe it than the remainder of a division. So if I have something that's going to go 360 degrees, every time it gets past 360 degrees, if 360 is the modulus part of the operation, then it'll hit 360 and reset to 0. Okay. So I said earlier that After Effects has mathematical constraints. You can only go you can only push the effects so far. You can only make a blur so big. You can only make a comp so big. You can only go so far with offset or distance in various effects. And a way to get around that is to have After Effects use the modulus to loop this thing. Okay. So I'm going to go 720 because I have done 2 cycles on this evolution. Do 720 over 10 seconds times time. Okay. So I'm basically, it's this transitions down to here, okay? Because I want to use that in the variable, I'll just put it there. And then I'm going to do T modulus 720 because I'm going around the dial twice. It'll reset itself, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, at 10 seconds, it's gotten to 720, and it resets itself to 0 over here. And then it does the same thing when it gets to 20. I use this stuff a lot, so the more meetings you come to, the more you'll experience it. Always, always, always feel free to ask me at any other point in the day if you need more information about this. Okay, so what that does is you can see the fractal texture is kind of moving and evolving there. But we also need to copy that.
I was gonna say your banding
Yeah.
doesn't change.
Yeah, we need to copy from these two things here, cycle evolution, revolutions, and evolution there, and paste those onto this guy. So I just selected them, copy, and all I have to do now is select the fractal noise effect and hit paste. Okay, so now I've got that guy, and he loops seamlessly from the front and the end. Okay, so then I would go to this, just drop in my fractal texture, put in my solid. Let's see if I have one that's 1280 by 720. I do. Drop that solid in, and it's going to be Trapcode MIR. I'm going to turn it off actually, and I'll make my size 1280 720, and on the fractal amplitude there, I'll tell it I want it to be the fractal noise. So let's go 20 and 20.
What's the advantage of using the fractal from the other layer? Oh, because you can
Loop it.
loop it.
The advantage is the loop.
I don't think I have any Trapcode effects.
It's okay if you don't. We're covering other ways to do these things.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so there's the wireframe. And let's increase the amplitude here, so you can actually see something happen. So maybe that's not exactly what we're looking for, but at least now you know.
It probably has something to do with the contrast of that fractal loop.
Yeah. There's a little more by increasing the amplitude on the Z. Okay.
Could you,
Hey.
theoretically, could you make a, I guess make like a texture and then pre-comp that, and then like, let's say you wanted to like track someone's face like in Mocha, and then you wanted to like make their skin crawl or something?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just what, when you had that on that last one, whatever it was, I was like seeing like, I don't know, like a swarm of ants or something like that, or like crawling skin, or you know, some really cool like.
Yeah,
sound.
you could
actually like a zombie that's like kind of.
I think you're looking for something that is a little more advanced than what MIR is built for.
It's alive.
It's alive.
It's alive.
But you might be able to do that with MIR. If you want to look at it further, we can.
Yeah.
And we can make it alive. Yes, sir.
Now, if I bring a polygon from 74D, have we tried doing that? Controlling it?
You,
Or only the polygons that Mercury uses?
yeah, with form, you can do some of that, but it is point-based. And we're actually going to look at doing this kind of thing with Cinema 4D. We can do that now. Okay. So what we'll do is jump over to, let's get,
Is this the full version of Cinema 4D? Or?
I have the full version, but this, what I'm going to do works in Cinema 4D Lite as well. Okay. So if you have After Effects with 14 or maybe a little bit earlier, one version earlier than that, then it'll have C4D Lite and you can do this kind of thing with it. Okay. So we're going to make another comp here. And we'll just start it here. We'll do a new Maxon Cinema 4D file. And we'll save it here. Call it polys, like that. And we'll just create, I don't know, let's do a platonic, something different. And make it a little bigger. Which one do you guys like? Dodeca? Icasa, maybe? Or buckyball? Let's do icosahedron. Okay. So all I've done is create a platonic, increase the radius, and change it to icosahedron. So the next thing I'll have to do really is create, not an array object. Create an atom array. Okay. An atom array looks at the edges and creates pipes and dots at the end. Okay. So super simple. Have my platonic. Just come over here to my arrays menu. I don't even know what menu that is. John, any thoughts? Just drop in an atomic array and put my platonic inside there. And now I have an atom array. Looks at the edges and you can see that it looks pretty cool. So down here is my texture window. I'm just going to create a texture that's 255 by 255 by 255. I don't need any specular. And I'll apply it to the atom array like that. And on my atom array, I can change some of these things. I can make the dots bigger, make the pipes even thinner, and make them smoother. Something that's kind of fun. Well, let's do this first. Let's put this inside a null object. And I think if I do that, I can apply a displacer. Like that. I don't think so. I think the displacer goes in the null. And it might be better for the displacer to go in there. So, yeah.
So you're applying the displacer to the original. 3D.
To the original platonic, yeah. So I'm displacing that and then going with the atom array. Then I can duplicate the atom array like that and just kind of move it over a little bit. So it's kind of sitting with that guy. That. That's kind of cool looking. And select those displacers. Give it that kind of thing. Then I'm going to do my render settings, which are, I know they're Command B. And I'm going to make this 1280 720. It's just do 60 frames long. And then when I save that, let's see, go to After Effects, and here we are. Final draft. And if I use my comp camera, I can spin around, look at this guy in different ways. And then I can animate that fractal inside Cinema 4D for the displacer. And then this thing,
That junk water force in there.
me, I did it. All right. Any questions about going to Cinema 4D and getting this guy back in?
I noticed that you said there was a null object in Cinema 4D. Is that the same as After
It's
Effects?
very similar. I did get rid of the null because I didn't need it, but it's very similar.
So you can like parent things to the null and then control.
Correct. If you're going to do that, you can select, I'll select those two and group them, and it creates a null. So it puts them under the null. In After Effects, you would parent, technically, but in Cinema 4D, you put them under the null, and then you can adjust them like that. Or make them a part of the null hierarchy. And then, I don't know, with this shading here, maybe we can let's see, movement. Maybe that's too much, guys.
So you're animating the shader?
Animating the shader. And the shader is displacing the platonic. And that is creating the motion. And because it's animating the platonic, it's not displacing any of the lines or any of the dots. It's just moving them in space because it's only looking at the edges and the vertices of the platonic. Okay, so then once we have that, we can save it, jump back over to After Effects. After Effects updates it. We have our animation. Okay, so something that's kind of cool about this way of doing things is that I can come in here. I'm just gonna blast all that stuff. I can come in here and go to my object manager. Is that it? No, that's not it. Content browser. And possibility is that I can find a model in here.
These built in with 4D light.
Yeah, I went into the Cinema 4D Lite folder, and let's say soda can is what we want to use. I just pull the soda can in, and I need to scale it up. Just hit the T key to scale it, and then I'm going to duplicate it and put it inside this atom array. And with the atom array, once again, I'll kind of reduce the size of the cylinders, reduce the size of the points. That. And see soda can here. You can also turn the soda can off. That, and then apply that displacer. We need to figure out where we would go with it, but let's do noise again. Now remember from my earlier dizzying experiment, what to be doing. So I think it's just taking a little while to. All right.
So you're just
So
placing the,
yeah, what I would need to do is go like that.
This would be a good way to make a building look like it's.
Yeah. So maybe that's not what you want to do, but at least you know how to do it if you want to do it. We'll go back to After Effects. After Effects will update. You can see that here. Oh, went past me. There you go. All right. Next thing is doing the nodes manually inside After Effects. Okay. If you haven't used the beam effect, you are not living, because the beam effect is where it's at. The beam effect can be used for a number of different things, and with a handy expression, you can attach the beam effect to some nulls.
I just got the saber effect.
Oh, very good. I haven't used that yet. I haven't installed it. I need to check it out. Hey, if you want to do a, Jeremy, if you want to do a tutorial on the saber effect, feel free.
I have to learn how to use it.
Okay. So what I've done is use a little bit of expressions on the beam. Here, if you don't know this one yet, write it down. Find me later. Let's talk about it because it's great. This is the toComp function, okay? So what we're doing is we're getting a layer with this L here, so we don't have to write all of that over twice again. We're just putting it in a variable. So this is the layer. It's the null. And then we'll do L toComp and in parentheses, L dot anchor point. And what it does is it looks at where the anchor point is in the comp based on the boundaries of the comp, and then applies that to an X and Y grid. So even if something is in Z space and it's moving all around, if it's attached to something, if it's parented, if it has its own expressions, if it's in another comp somewhere, it doesn't matter as long as you can get the name. So you would have to maybe say, look in this comp and then get the layer. But once you do that and you apply this to comp and then the layer anchor point, you can get the X and Y coordinate of that layer in this comp's boundaries, okay? So then at that point, all we do is maybe create a circle. We'll do it kind of the same color as that guy. Someone's at the front door. And I'll duplicate here. When you duplicate a shape layer, it makes it extend to the boundaries of the comp. But then I do that so I can get it centered up in the comp, and then we'll come back in later and just change the size of it. Okay, so that way I know it's centered up in the comp. Now what I'll do is I'll do this same expression here. I'll just copy that expression and apply it to the position for this guy. What happened? Oh, it's because it needs to know what the layer is. So I'm going to go there. And I failed to mention this. To make this repeatable, to make this easily repeatable. Hi, Marcus.
Hey.
We brought your old roommate,
Oh, yeah.
Robert.
I know that.
This is Marcus Gorey. This is your life.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
So there's an expression controller here that's a layer control. When you add it in, you can pick any layer in your comp. Okay. What that does is makes it just easier to get inside the expression and change information quickly. So if I duplicate these two here, so now I have null 4 and null 3, and I duplicate this lines layer, and all I have to do is go null 3 and null 4. And then when I move nulls 3 and 4, like that, the layer selectors here have kept me from having to open up this expression and pick whip. Okay, it's just a little bit easier. Okay. So now I have a disk. We'll call this disk 1, or let's do nodes. We've been using nodes all night, so we'll say nodes. Node 1. How do you know if your comp is sick? If it has a code in its nodes. Never mind. John got it. Did you get it? No.
No.
I was gonna say when everybody really likes it.
Did I? But it got a code in its nodes.
Forget about it.
Man, you guys are tough audience. Okay, so now we're going to do, with this node, we're going to kind of do the same thing that we did with these lines. We're going to do a layer selector, a layer expression control. So I'll paste that there. We'll just call this layer for position. And it has layer null 3 selected. We could do null 4, but we have to go in here to the comp and actually tell it, I want you to use the layer expression selector for that information, for that layer information. Okay, so you can see it jumping around there like that. Then if we just do like that, duplicate those nodes. Everybody can have their own position. Did that work like I thought it was going to? So this guy should be,
You're setting
did I-
carefully.
oh, I said it. I need to set the nulls. Yeah, thank you. So we'll do 4, 3, 2. This will be no 1, just to match them up. We'll hide our bounding boxes so you can see there what those look like. And then we can even duplicate this a couple more times and hook up. So this is 3 and 4. Let's do 3 and 2. That. This is 3 and 4. Let's do 2 and 4. That. We can even go maybe 2 more times. 2 and 4. We'll do 1 and 3. That. Maybe 1 and 4. So now we can actually have our null objects move around. Just do a wiggle expression on these. Wiggle 200. Oh, no, that's frequency. Let's do wiggle 1, 200. That's the frequency and the amplitude. I'll copy that to those guys. Now we have our lines and nodes moving around. And there are ways to set these up in repeatable fashion, so you can duplicate a bunch of things and the lines and the nodes will connect up to each other pretty easily.
Are you familiar with the I guess it's I can't remember. I think it was script. It's a script called Connected Layers by Motion Boutique.
I think yes.
And it's
And
free, and it's kind of the same principle though, where you create a circle, a shape layer, circle, and let's say you duplicate it, you put a wiggle expression on it, and you duplicate a whole bunch of times, and you select them all, and you run that script, and it'll put those like lines for them.
Yeah, so
It's kind of the
it's,
same.
which one is it? What's it called?
Connected Layers. I think it's free.
$40.
It was a promotion.
Yeah. So it does about, I mean, it does more than what we were doing, right? But,
Hey man, yours is free.
and mine's free. Mine's free, and mine's, hopefully,
We like transparency.
hopefully mine is getting you closer to being able to do this stuff yourself.
Yeah.
So would you be able to adjust those lines separately now, like adding like an audio frequency mapping?
If you were going to do audio frequency, let's see what that would look like. We have effect. That would be one of these guys.
The audio source. Not
Yeah.
even- Maybe you can use distort the fractal.
Yeah, I'm just trying to I'm trying to think which one. There's an audio one. Spectrum, yes. Where does it live? Audio Spectrum. And then we have start point and end point. So we can do with our beam expression, we can copy the start point there. Like that. And the ending point, copy expression, paste, like so. And then if I have an audio track somewhere,
I might just do a sound effect. Otherwise, YouTube may block it later.
this is something that was created by someone internal. All right, so now we have this guy can use audio layer here. And
So we might make those dots.
yeah, we just need to adjust frequency and some stuff like that. I've got to
That'd
hey,
be a cool video DJ program.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
target frequency.
You heard of Beeple?
Yeah, that guy's nuts.
How do you, does he really crank out that stuff
Online.
every day? He's got to have some kind of set, like a toolbox. Yeah. And he just, like, I'll use this 3D holographic cube I made 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Throw it into this.
I think he's been doing it long enough to be able to do that stuff quick, I guess. There you go. All right. Any other questions before we move on?
I have a question. It's totally off subject.
Save it. Yes, sir. Do you have one that's on topic?
Are we going to be working on those burning embers and stuff?
Yes, but only if there aren't any more questions about this right now.
Are you?
Any questions about this?
No, I don't have any.
Marcus? How off topic is it?
It's just I want to know if there's a shortcut to toggle between shape layers inside of the shape layer. You know what I'm saying? Creating.
So if you have a shape layer
Yeah.
and you have another shape
Yeah.
inside there,
Mhm.
can you toggle? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
toggle between those.
I don't think so.
Backflipping.
You know, go dig inside the keyboard shortcuts. Where is it?
Yeah, how do you get that?
Actually, you might need to
Preferences?
use an editor.
Right? So don't you have to go into the script?
Yeah, I think you have there is even, I think, in AE scripts something you can do to download and adjust your stuff and hit go, adjust your hotkeys and hit go, and it'll update the preferences file for that.
Okay. I'm gonna check that out.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure it
I can't promise that it'll help you navigate into shape layers.
out. Right, but that's good. You
But-
said shortcuts.
Yeah.
That one is good.
All right, here we go. We have a shot from out back here. All right, and I tracked it with my camera, so I have a bunch of tracking points here, and I had some tracking that it had done on the little reflections on the window, so I got rid of that. And then I created a camera, a 3D camera that sits in my scene. So now if I select my tracker and I have these tracking points, you see the target down here. The target typically will just form itself between 3 tracking points. You can right click on the target, control click, and get a list, context menu, and be able to create some stuff here. Now, I made a mistake last time, and I did set ground plane and origin. I'm not going to do that this time because I think it messed a lot of stuff up. But what I can do is create a solid or text. I can also come in here if I think maybe I'm a little off with my target. I can select a few points like that. And if I think that those points don't need to be part of my track and solve for my 3D camera, I can delete them. Or I can select a bunch of them and then, let's say, create a solid here. I don't know why I created a solid over there. Maybe it's because I scaled in. So let's do this. Let's delete that and let's create our camera again. And create a solid like that. Okay, so now the solid's in the right spot, but it looks like because I set my camera to, it's an iPhone camera, I tracked something out the window, that there's a lot of depth here, and so it's trying to use all the pixels in the scene really far off. So the position of this guy is off at like 65,000 on the z-axis. He's 12,500 on the x-axis. So we just have to keep that in mind when we're working in here. All right, so I've got my solid in here, but a solid is not what I want out there on the ground. Jeremy, what do I want on the ground?
A blown out hole.
Blown out hole.
As if by the detonation of a powerful explosive.
Yes. Or somebody accidentally dropped their computer. I don't know. So what I have done here previously is create a crater edge. Okay. First thing to look at is this. Okay, so what I did is I have a solid back here. Is it a solid or is it just, yeah. So I have a solid that's white and I have a mask in there that's cutting out a hole. And outside that hole, I have some fractal noise. There's a little bit of a feather. And I used Vegas to put a stroke around the edges of this thing. And I roughened the edges, did a fast blur, and put a fractal noise. Okay. So now I have a little bit of kind of dirt and char on the outside of my hole. And I have a little crackle texture on the outside, just kind of some broken texture. Do it a couple times and then cover that over with my hole again. So it's just the same mat, that instead of being a subtract mat here, on top of there, it's an add. Okay, just give me a hole up there. And I use the advanced lightning to create some extra little cracks. Like this. And I can actually drop the hole back on top of there so you don't see the lightning spilling over into the center of the hole. Okay. Really all this is just a texture mat I'm going to use on my pavement out there.
So you could have created this in Photoshop.
Create it in Photoshop, you know, go take a picture of a crater, find something on Pixabay for free. You know, if they have that kind of thing.
What's that? How you spell that?
Pixabay. bay.com.
Except like B as in batter.
It's like the bay, like down by the bay.
Okay.
Yeah.
.com or .org?
.com.
Thanks.
And I can replace. I'll select this composition and drag it in here, hold Option, and I'll replace the one that I have selected. All right. So also, I have my crater hole, but that's going to be a mat for later. What I can do is duplicate my dirt layer, my edge, and replace the mat here on there like that. And for my parking lot, sorry about that. Back here, I can use this to cut out my parking lot. With, let's say, an inverted alpha or an alpha. There we go. Okay. So I've got my parking lot down here. I've got my parking lot with a hole in it right there. I've got my crater edge here. I can do multiply on that. And you can see that the edge, everything kind of flows along like that. Now we're going to go to Cinema 4D again. And close that guy and make something.
Real quick.
Yep.
Back in 8.
Yep.
If you drop that plane down, that crater plane down just a little bit, would that kind of marry it to the pavement a little bit more? Like before you put it there, you still had the pink solid. It looked like it was floating a little bit. Like if you dropped it down, would that
no, I mean,
what do you do to?
For me, like, I don't know, maybe I'm not the best judge of it, but for me, it looks like it's locked pretty hard
No, it's locked.
on there.
It's like it's not moving on the pavement, but it almost looks like it's floating just a little bit. It's positionally locked, but
Yeah.
it looks like it might be just floating up. Is there a way to like really like what do you do to like
Blend
really
it
like
in.
sink something into your scene?
Let's keep going.
Okay.
Let's keep going. I think I know what you're saying. Like, maybe angularly, you think it's off or something like that. But we'll keep going because right now it just looks like somebody accidentally spray painted a sheet on the concrete, right?
There's also some shadows on there that are moving.
Yeah. So these shadows here are kind of weird. Let's keep going, and we'll see what we come up with. Okay, so we're going to go to Cinema 4D, and this is going to eventually go to Element 3D. So if you want to use C4D Lite for this, you can. There are also ways to do this without any 3D software, but we're going to use 3D software for this particular setup. Okay. And for that, we're going to like that. Just create which way do I want to go? Like this. And then I'm going to, let's just do some more. This. And I'm going to turn it into an editable object. And then flip it upside down. So we're looking at the bottom of it.
could even possibly use here.
That, yes,
Just spend some time.
could use mirror. I actually have a mirror hole in there as well. I'm going to reduce that a little bit. Okay. But I also, something that bit me last time was the normals. So you see that all these normals look like hair on there. They're pointing the direction that the polygons are pointing. So if I take that into After Effects, then I won't see anything up here. I would only see something if I look underneath because the normals are pointing out downward. So I just need to go to my mesh, normals, and reverse normals. Okay, so now they're all pointing up. I will export this as an OBJ right there. So here, call this whole.obj. Okay, and there's going to be a tiny bit of trickiness here because Element 3D is on a, it's like Element 3D is on the metric system and this is on feet and inches. That's kind of what it feels like when I do this. I'm going to put this guy here, just adding a solid to the scene. You know what, I'll just make it 1280 by 720 solid in there. Call this whole Video Copilot element. Is it? No, that's 1920 by 1080. Sorry, guys. I'll just replace that. And go to Scene Setup and import my whole. Sounds so weird to say, oh, I'm just going to import my whole. All right, now we have a whole. Go back in here, and this is when it gets a little goofy because everything has to be so far off in the distance. So we'll look at the position here. 12,600, 3,200. So 12,660, 32, 50. And then I'll just copy that. We just got to see if we can get it to sit in there. You know, make it bigger. Under particle look, size 40. And another gotcha here is camera cutoff. So you can start to see it there.
We don't need that.
Say again?
Two of the other layers on top of it.
It should. We should be seeing it in the hole at least.
gotcha.
At the very least, we should be seeing it in the hole.
So it's kind of,
So here we go. We can do it.
there it is.
I don't want anything random. All right. Then we can take a look at some rotation there. And the
Why did you
Maybe
do
better
this?
to just turn the camera from some.
no, because this is Element 3D. The camera's already in here. So I have a 3D camera in there. But so getting it from Cinema 4D wouldn't help me right in this situation.
How come Element wasn't honoring the camera? It should have been.
So let's look at the object. So the object is 296, 3.1, and 12.6. So we'll go here and do, what was that? 3.
You're just reversing. Okay.
So maybe it's 360 minus 296, 3.1, 12.6. Oh, that's almost it. Anyway, we're pretty close there. The point is not, in my estimation right now, the point is not lining the hole up, because the hole is just going to be down in the ground anyway, right? And
Can you get rid of that visible bar though?
this bar over here,
Yeah.
yeah, watch this. I'll just take this, do a reptile.
Excellent.
Like that. Boom.
What is that? What did you just do there?
So I used reptile, and what reptile does, I'll show you. Would be a good thing to show you. So if I do some text here,
What?
and I put on reptile. Reptile does a repetition of whatever the layer is. Okay, so if you have something that is tileable, especially, you can use reptile to make a bigger tile of whatever it is. You can also do different ways of extending.
That could be interesting with shape layers.
Yes, I agree. I don't know why it is not doing the whole thing. Oh, good. There's a none setting in there. So reptile can come in very handy. What it does, or what I used it for here, was just to extend that extra portion of the mask. If I keep going, then I'll get the hole again. But I knew that I wouldn't get the hole if I just went a tiny bit.
Trent, is the object rotating too?
Is it rotating? Is that your question?
It will, because it's sitting in 3D space with the camera.
So is that hole attached to that outline?
It is
Yeah, I
not.
can see that it is.
The hole is attached only to the camera, technically. And I also have in here a little crater dirt that I created. So we can go to the hole, go to scene setup, and, oh, wait, sorry. I need to tell Element 3D to look at the texture map called Layer 7 New Tech Dirt. Man, you guys remember Lightwave 3D? Those were the days, right? So then I can come here on this texture, put texture on there. Okay. So now we have our hole in there, and that looks
so.
That looks much better than it did last time,
That
I
looks
think.
so. I was gonna say that too. That looks so much better than last time.
Yeah. Okay. So you can see this thing right here. See how it drifts over the wall? We don't want that.
Yeah.
There's an easy way to fix that. I'm going to go here to my parking lot, the one that I tracked with the camera, and I'll just select a few of these guys right here and create a solid. And that solid, I'm going to put over the hole. And all I need to do is rotate it just a tad. Maybe a little more. Scale it. Sorry, but to unlink there. So I just need to line it up with the edge of the building. Maybe put a tiny blur on it. Then I can use that as a map. I can put parking lot above here. Let's call this no foreground. Like that. So if we look, this is all that is. And because I tracked that camera and the camera gave me the tracking points, I just dropped it right in place. So it holds tight to the shot.
Oh, I thought you were gonna mask up the whole.
I did. I masked the whole, and the crater and the crater edge, all that kind of stuff, all at the same time by putting this on top.
Beautiful.
Okay. Come on, guy. All right.
Yeah, you can keyframe that as it moves along.
I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't need to, because it should be locked to the, actually I was messing with it in the wrong spot. It should be locked to the shot. So I shouldn't have to keyframe it.
I can't wait to see how that hole's going to look when it looks like there's burning fire inside it. Heat wave energy.
I know. I'm going to go get to it. All right.
I know. I'm just saying. Wow. I'm just imagining it right now.
So now we have hole, we have parking lot, we have the edge here. We also have a burning edge. Okay, so let's take a look at the burning edge. So we have here.
How did you create that?
All right. This, first off, is the crater hole to begin with. It's just this guy. And I pre-comped it and put a fractal noise on it. So I got a fractal noise, colorama, and I'll show you the colorama. What it does is it just uses the white to black and gray values to return interesting colors. Okay, so you can do water looking, you can do fire and smoke, some golden looking stuff. Okay. If you use Photoshop and you have ever used the gradient overlay in Photoshop. This is how you make that happen in After Effects.
Gradient map.
Gradient map, thank you. Gradient map in Photoshop. What you would do is just transfer your gradient colors over to here into basically from 0 around to 100. That's what your gradient would be, 0 to 100. You just drop in your colors on this wheel where you would think they go, and then just kind of adjust them as you go along to get that. All right, so the fractal noise also has a little bit of that evolution on it that you saw earlier. We put the whole there, and then I used a silhouette transfer mode, silhouette alpha transfer mode, to cut out the center of it and just give me the burning edges, okay? You can see the edges are kind of fiery there. That. And because I have my crater edge already here locked in place, all I have to do is duplicate it and replace it with my edge burn. And then we'll do, let's try color dodge to start with. Okay. And we can also maybe improve colors a little bit. And then add a glow to it. That. And there was something I did earlier today. I think it was maybe a drop shadow, because it looks pretty good, but it looks like the concrete is about as thick as my piece of paper.
So we gotta add some more depth to that concrete.
Yes. So maybe we can just duplicate this crater edge and put a shadow, a drop shadow on it. Point it straight down. And go like, maybe not that. Oh, we make it burning red. That. Just make sure it's underneath anything that needs to hide it. Looks like.
This is so cool. I've got to get up closer and look at this.
Do it. There we go. We can even like add a fractal noise on there. To make it look like it's kind of part of the whole. And then we have, let's say, smoke. So I've got, this is a Trapcode particular that I use to create the smoke. You can use any of the particle simulators that are in After Effects to do this.
could use multiple fractal noise layers.
Yes, that is correct. And then just kind of have them fade out.
What did you use on the smoke?
This is particular.
Isn't form? That's another good one to use.
Yeah, form can be good. I just don't know the formula to get smoke. See what I did there? You got that one.
I got
I
that.
thank you guys for waking up.
You guys should really get that hole fixed up.
I know, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we have burning smoke. What I'm going to do is come in here and take a look at this position of this guy, and that's really where I want my smoke to sit, basically. So again, I'll duplicate and just replace that layer. Now it does need to be rotated up like that, and I need to offset the anchor point so it sits in the right spot, and we'll scale it up some because I really would like this smoke to kind of carry off the screen. That, and I already have, let's see, I already have my crater edge here, so I can duplicate that and use it as a mask for the smoke. Do it inverted like that. And so this is the area down here I'm trying to get rid of. Let's see. I can do my stylized reptile again. We'll expand down like that. And I'll do a linear wipe. I'm just going to use the linear wipe to get rid of that top edge up there. And a little bit of that. I think I may blur it a tiny bit. That. Now let's RAM preview.
But you could add a
Or
light
hot,
source.
depending on how you want to look at it.
You could add a light inside the on the 3D object too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. A light.
So why don't we do that?
All right. So you add the light outside, and we'll do a point light, and we'll make it yellow.
Hey, can you make these kinds of lights flicker?
Yes. Can flicker the heck out of this thing.
Yes!
But I need to make sure it is only affecting the hole. I need to make sure that it is definitely affecting the hole first. Like that. And then we can wiggle that intensity. A frequency of, let's do 2 and 100. See what that looks like. Nothing, basically.
That's because you have it at 1,000%.
Starting to do it.
Okay, let's just wiggle a little more often. Bless you. 100. Is that too much, I think? And now I have a bunch of 3D layers here. And I only want to affect the hole with the light. So what I have to do is turn off accept lights. Morris knows what's up. I don't want to cast shadows. I don't want to accept lights. So I don't know if any of that matters for this guy. But I can copy that in any layer that is 3D. Come here and paste those settings.
So anytime you add a light, you now have a material. You have an option in your material.
And you could then add another light that shines down from directly above for the sunlight.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, that looks so amazing.
Okay, so I'm going to take these guys and just do normal. And this one, I will do overlay, maybe color dodge. Like that.
Can't you use Shift Plus or something to toggle through the blend modes?
You can. It is Shift plus and minus. Which one do you like, add or color dodge?
You found the use for color dodge.
Dude, hey man, I'll tell you, the designer, the lead designer we have here, he swears by color dodge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he uses it all the time. If you want to have an overlay of something that creates light for something else, color dodge is the way to go because it really mixes the colors very, very well.
I
It's
think that add mode looks a little too not quite natural.
okay. Try color dodge.
Well, I like how it casts on the object.
Yeah, so the flickering light is what's causing the light changes inside the hole.
That really gives it depth.
Yeah, and power.
So much power.
Now, if you were in 32-bit color mode, would that more realistically blend those real bright colors?
We'll see.
Yeah, let's try going to 32 blend mode.
It's going to take a long time to render. It might be necessary to adjust the color of
And
each item.
I do have one thing I'm wondering about that smoke. Is there any way to make it look like there's less balls of yellow light and make it look more like?
Yeah, that's reducing this thing here, not using color dodge, but using like screen or something like that for that right there.
Yeah, that looks more like natural smoke.
Can you add one more, like, just light shining down from above to simulate the sunlight coming into the hole?
Let's try.
Yeah.
Because we shouldn't have that dark of shadows.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see some little flickers on the edge there.
Yep,
Just
right there.
Yeah.
I may fix those tonight. I may not.
Okay.
So we'll duplicate that light and let's just up with it.
Maybe still 32-bit mode.
So I'm hitting Option and clicking my color mode over here to change between 16, 32, and 8-bit. Just so you know there's a shortcut.
Does it help with playback speed if you want to switch down to a lower
Yeah, so the reason you would use, typically the reason I use 16-bit color space is so my gradients don't do any banding. Sometimes you may not need to worry about that, but if you do have gradients that are banding, rendering with 16-bit color mode should take care of that for you, and making sure you have a good codec. If you want to get light streaking and light blending, then 32-bit color mode is what you use. And we can talk more about that kind of thing maybe next meeting. But let's see, how do we go about making sure we have good light?
So change it to black.
So sunlight is white.
Thanks.
It's good to see you, Tim.
Yeah, nice.
Take care.
All right.
Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't.
Loved it. Yeah. No,
Hopefully we'll see you again.
But I loved it.
If you would, find me on the Dallas After Effects user group and get me in touch with your buddy who told you about the meeting.
Totally.
That'd be great. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
great to meet you, man. Glad you're in Texas.
Appreciate it.
So that's a little better.
Anyway, maybe so it doesn't blow out the inner flyer so much.
Yeah, I'm trying to raise this back up. Well, the flyer is going to burn, is going to blow itself out.
Okay.
I don't know. Is that any better? Maybe a little bit.
So
Hey,
point being is you can play with it.
you can play with it.
You can change the where it is in C space for the second.
Yeah.
It's not like my car wasn't there when this thing hit.
I know, man.
Yeah.
That
That's usually what I'm for.
would have been dangerous.
Yeah, if you wanted to get tricky, you could add a glow around it, around the outside. of
Yeah.
it. Even add shadows for the smoke. The smoke cast shadows.
Yeah, we could do the smoke like
Yeah, we can have shadows in the smoke. So
take the smoke and
Probably add some, like a tent or something like that.
I don't think we would map that.
All right, Trent, I got one question for you.
Yep.
And that's how are you putting the reference to the tractor and all these layers? You're referencing them to the camera.
So when you run the tracker, you get tracking points on the tracker
Right. I remember those.
right here. Okay. So once I have those, I don't reference them to the camera. Anything I create, I reference to this. Okay. So I would select these guys and then control click and create something here. What it does is whatever I create, text or a solid or a null, it drops it right in that spot in Z space.
So that's the point of it.
Yeah.
Then you build on that.
Correct. And the camera is basically built on that as well. It's just After Effects has done the computations to say this is where the camera needs to sit in space. Okay, does that help? Does that make sense?
This is why I hope
Now you see the smoke casting shadow on the ground now?
I see it sort of.
I see the guy in the truck looking at the pole.
I see
That guy, look.
I see sort of a line inside
Yeah, it looks like there's a bit of an edge on this guy. Hey, I know how to get rid of edges. And I can even,
So what did that fill do?
the fill got rid of the orange that's in the smoke. Because the smoke is built
Oh,
with,
okay, you just filled it with grains.
Those little particles that are like being like dusted off help.
Oh, okay. The leaves or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think another thing you could do is color correct just the whole and everything.
Oh,
It's a
and you
little
know,
really yellow.
I think one final thing you could do is take those red burning edges and make them flicker and even make them distort a little bit.
yeah, there's something we didn't do this time that maybe, let's see. We had smoke here. And we can put that right there. And I've got a heat map here. And the heat,
Oh, you're adding the distortion.
yeah.
This is going to look so incredible.
Which, by the way, Video Copilot has a distortion plugin. Which does
The same thing, does the similar thing. Okay, so this is going to be heat distortion. I'm going to make it a transfer mode, or sorry, an adjustment layer. And I'll do displacement map. For the displacement map, I use the heat map. You may see, yeah, it's a little bit. It's actually quite a bit. Dude, the thing that sells it for me is this smoke on the ground here.
Yeah.
That adding that really like lands it in the scene for me.
That's just a reflection.
I think the heat distortion is a little too extreme.
Little too extreme.
Don't you sleep on those shadows, man. Shadows can't.
Shadows count.
It's
My
okay,
shadow
so
is
what you
most
said about the shadow, like
Yeah.
oh,
Leaves you everywhere. Leaves you everywhere.
it's important for
Yeah, that's
any kind of visual artist
right.
to
Always.
understand,
Damien, take care.
See ya.
to understand how nature, how things look in real life.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, it just goes to show you, like, if you can understand, the way that nature works, you can create a simulation of it.
Yeah.
And better sell your visual effects.
Right.
Lots and lots of leaves.
Thing's going nuts. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Something that always is a little bit iffy for me is the shadows mixing. And so if you look, let's see if we can do just the smoke and the smoke shadow. So these shadows would probably mix together in a way that would not make them like two dramatically different shades of dark.
So doesn't the darken blending run take care of it?
Let's see. Here, look at dark.
Darker color. Yeah.
Let's see, darker color.
There's one that'll. It keeps it from multiplying if what's underneath is darker than.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Let's see if changing the color. No. I feel like it doesn't need to be quite that dark, maybe.
Yeah.
But
You could color select the shadow. You know, from
Yeah.
an actual image
Yeah.
for your fill.
You could just use the color selection.
like that.
Yeah. And then just change your transparency.
Not quite it. Closer.
It could be darker. Like that.
That's a little better. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Hey, you've all been crazy patient today. Thank you for playing along. Thanks for being part of this. The times actually that it's most fun for me doing this group is when we're all kind of working together to solve problems. That increases my knowledge, and I think it helps out the rest of the group. So
Which I thought was impossible.
don't be like that, Morgan. I appreciate it.
That's good, man. For sure. Next month we need to have some. We'll do it again. We'll have something jump out of the
No.
little leprechaun.
I'm not there.
Gold.
I'm not there. Yeah.
Trent is like so done with this whole project, right? He's like gonna track it. Here comes up.
No, I'm pretty excited about this. I've learned a lot doing this particular project. So
Besides, this is one of the coolest things we've ever done.
no offense taken, Jeremy. No offense taken.
We can do a face swap.
I didn't mean.
I know. I'm just kidding, buddy.
Face swap, not weird.
That's a joke.
Is what?
Is face swap not weird?
Face swap.
Face swap is terrible.
Face swap on
Face swap.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Swap.
Creepy as all get out.
So yes,
I was gonna see, can you go to the video copilot? I just want to see
It's just a way to
distortion.
Yeah.
create facial recognition.
Why is that a fad?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
just,
it's like, I don't understand.
oh, you got my face. I mean, that's so like.
Switching with the baby.
I feel like I've lost the crowd already.
I do.
Wow, look at Anthony Hopkins down there.
Probably their product.
What?
They're probably-
Look at down there. That's the eyeball.
Did you record
That
this?
looks like.
I
that
did.
Looks like your, that looks like
you
your
talked about
profile
mirror
picture.
What's there?
Distortion does exist in here.
Heat distortion.
There it is.
Have any of you guys done jet strike stuff?
No, I want to use his stuff, but it doesn't ever really fit
Trent.
all the time.
I've seen for like $20. I've never.
It's good to see you, buddy.
Trent.
Did it meet your wildest expectations and dreams?
It was great.
Did all your
I actually
dreams come
wanted to
true?
let you know that on
Oh.
YouTube, Andrew Kramer, the guy for Video Copilot,
Yep.
has a tutorial on how to create a sun.
Oh yeah,
And it explodes.
very cool.
Check it out.
Hey, have you been up there lately?
I will do it. No, let's not go there. Let's go groups.
So this
There we
is recorded.
This is recorded.
Where can I go?
To my knowledge, it's recorded. I'll post the link on the groups page,
Oh, cool.
and you can get it there.
What if
The groups page is there.
this thing somehow failed and didn't record? Can we do it again this time? Record it?
That'll be the third time in a row that I've done it.
I have a question about
Yeah.
how you use,
Yes, Marcus?
I'm trying to think of the name of the effect. You used it for the burnt edges.
Fractal noise?
No, the other one. Vegas.
Colorama or Vegas?
Vegas.
Vegas. Yes. Question like, what is Vegas?
Well, yeah, I've used Vegas before, but in a different way. So I was kind of curious how you use it.
Vegas, the reason I like Vegas is because it gives me the ability to do, I think the thing I like about it is it gives me the ability to do tapered strokes. So come in here and do this. Add Vegas here. We'll do the mask like that. And I only do one segment here.
Okay.
And you can see that I've got, I turn off my bounding boxes. You do that number right there. You can also put your end opacity up. And that's what I use to get that edge. Okay.
And you just
If I use, if I use stroke, I can get a certain amount of that, but
right.
Vegas, I'm not exactly sure on for this why I used Vegas, unless I was trying to get image contour or just a bigger stroke or something like that.
How'd you make that earth texture?
The earth texture came from Lightwave textures, NewTek Lightwave textures. This guy, it just started off as that.
Okay.
And I used Reptile there.
But you could go outside and take your own photo.
Yeah. Take your own picture. And then I just added a couple extra things on top. A little vignette, that yellow color, some more kind of detail with the fractal texture, fractal noise. And the
It
fire.
turned out so incredible.
Thanks, man. I hope. So this is the one we did last time. And this one's pretty good. But
And this one is the one we did this time.
so there you go. Thank you very much for your participation, for your precipitation.
And it doesn't look like there's any of that in that scene.
No precipitation. Thanks for coming. Please jump on that groups page. If you're not a member, join the page, and we'll just keep this thing moving along.
Boom.
Appreciate you guys for being here. Spread the word. Get in touch with me or each other with the After Effects thoughts and questions. Share the things you learn.
One day I'm going to come across something that's going to be worthy of people.
I know it. I know it is.
Yeah.
You don't even want to look at my comments.
Trent,
What's this?
have you ever seen Plot Device?
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeremy. Take care, buddy.
You
I'm glad you were here this time.
See you, Jeremy. See you, Jeremy.
See ya.
Au revoir.